Hey guys, how's it going? And happy Friday. I hope you all are doing good. Well, we have a lot to cover tonight. As you can see in the title, are pistol braces illegal again? Well, it's not a simple yes or no answer, of course, because it's the ATF we're dealing with, but it appears so. It appears that they're coming after them again. And in some cases, they've been still continuing to come after people for braces this whole time. And that's in spite of court rulings. That's in spite of Trump's Department of Justice, which is Republican controlled. They've been self proclaimed the most pro Second Amendment administration of all time, but there's a lot more to this. So we're going to get into that tonight. Also, is Beretta taking over Ruger? It appears they might be. It's really hostile. Stuff's been going back and forth like crazy. Ruger's been opining. Beretta's been refuting some of Ruger's claims. They've been going back and forth. Yeah, I think we could be in a hostile takeover of Beretta taking over Ruger. There's a lot more to that. We're going to get into that as well. And just real quick here, we are going to cover some very important stuff tonight. So all of you who are live, welcome. It's good to see you here. I see a bunch of awesome people in the chat right now. And shout out to the replay crew, of course. But this might be one of those streams I just need to remind people. If you're new here, welcome. It's good to have you here. But if you're listening to this later, like late Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, next week, you're watching a live stream replay. This is long format. This is not a 5-minute video. So if anyone's wanting to leave those comments afterwards saying, get to the point, you could have done this in 60 seconds. You could have reported this on 5 minutes. Dude, I could do a lot of things. But this is my normal Friday night live stream. It's long form. We get into depth. There's a live audience. And that's what we do on this channel. Why? Because a lot of my viewers and friends enjoy this format. And also, it's my channel, and I'm just going to do whatever the hell I want. So just to spare you guys all the complaining and moaning and whining that people do when there's hot topics, I hope you enjoy the long format live stream replay. And sincere shout out to all of the replay viewers, because I often watch people's live streams on replay as well. We're going to get into all this stuff. The pistol braces thing is just getting to be insane. Okay? The ATF overreach, the government overreach, this two sides of the same coin, all of this. Also, this Beretta Ruger thing's kind of crazy with lots of implications. And this is really important, and it's a bigger issue we've talked about a lot here. We need to have America first, and I'm pretty much only to the point now, I'm almost rather to the point of just like America only, okay? I'm getting sick and tired of all these other countries, all of the foreign influence on this country. We've talked about this war in Iran. We've talked about it a lot the last 2 weeks. It might come up a little bit tonight, but I don't want to talk about that tonight necessarily. But it's that, and now it's this, and it's the other. And it's just, I'm sick and tired of all these other countries that want to take over the gun industry in my country, that don't have pro Second Amendment views. I'm sick and tired of people in my country having to fight all these wars all across the world for what? I don't even know. So we're going to tie in a lot of things together, because none of this is just simple, and all of it's pretty complex. Now, if you live in Michigan, just to give you a little heads up here, I just did a video a couple days ago. If you didn't see it, yeah, we're in our second full year of the red flag laws in Michigan. So it's the first year-to-year comparison. Red flaggings have gone up 31%, with the vast majority of them being this ex parte hearing where you're already flagged, your guns are already gone before you even know somebody accused you of something. Go watch that video. Hopefully you enjoy it. And even if you don't enjoy it because it's not a positive topic, you need to know what's going on, because you could be in danger in Michigan of losing all of your guns and ammo within a split second with no due process at all. They're turning it up. They're doing more. And I think we're going to keep seeing more and more of that. Also, there was heavy duty gun control lobbyist groups. They call themselves gun safety groups. They've just been in Lansing recently. They're putting a lot of pressure on, and yeah, Looks like we're going to have a whole new whirlwind of gun control bills that are already being filed. Maybe some of them will pass. Elections coming up soon here. If they go the way I fear they might, probably a lot of stuff's going to pass in Michigan. So they're after your Second Amendment more than ever before in Michigan right now. Stay tuned. I will cover as much of this as I possibly can. I just wanted to let you guys know, hey, stay tuned. So many times people come into my channel and they're like, hey, I haven't seen you in a while. Or they'll leave a comment and they're like, I haven't seen a video you've done in like 4 months. Well, I've been doing them and they're there. And you know, I was talking about this little country, nation state. It's not even a country. That's the problem with it. This little nation state over there in the Middle East. And I probably said their name too much the last couple weeks because I have noticed YouTube has me in the small room category, it's called. Where like my last video, yeah, like 90% of the views were from people already subscribed. They're not really letting this channel out of a box right now. So we'll see what happens with that. It's been made crystal clear to me just by looking at things, analytics, that there's just stuff on here that they don't want you to talk about. And then it's frustrating for me and my viewers. And like, dude, why haven't you been covering all this? I'm like, dude, I like forgoed seeing my family that night to do that video. I didn't go do an extra job for my small business to do that video. So I'm putting in the effort, but YouTube's just not showing it to a lot of people. So that's kind of the state of the channel right now. We were on a strike for a while. That did wear off, luckily, I guess. But then now I'm noticing they're up to more shenanigans again. It's just, it's frustrating. So I will get as much of this Michigan news out as I can throughout this week and next week. Just keep in mind, guys, I own 2 small businesses. This is not what I use to feed my family. In fact, due to many reasons, the money coming into YouTube for this channel has been down a lot in the last year, and it continues to go down. I'm actually barely able to afford to do this at all. So I will bring it out the best I can. I'm not one of those career YouTuber guys. I'm not reading you any ad reads right now. So I wanted to thank all of you before we get going for the many ways you do help support the channel. That's why I'm still able to be here. So thank you to all my YouTube channel members. Thank you to whoever may leave a super chat tonight. If you are going to be so generous, I will definitely read it. Thank you kindly, and that'll make you a sponsor of this stream tonight. Also, thank you to my Patreon supporters, as well as my local supporters, which is a different site, censorship free. I made a post over there about an hour ago. I am going to be streaming on locals tomorrow evening. When this stream's done on YouTube, I'll work on getting that stream ready. It takes me about an hour to get that ready, and I'll have that posted so you can see what time it's going to be tomorrow night. My Cash App is also down in the description, and check the description for other ways you can help support the channel. So thank you to all of you. All right. Oh, one other real quick thing just to show you. You're going to see a video from me, I believe, Monday on this. There is a new site that was just launched, and I think this is going to be pretty cool. So stay tuned if that's what you're into, and I will have a video posted on that in the next couple days. So I'm going to go over the pistol brace thing first, and then the second half of the stream we'll get into the Beretta Ruger thing. I'm not sure which of the 2 topics you guys are more interested in, but maybe the pistol braces, because this is going to affect, in my opinion, well over 10 million people at this point. We have statistics from a few years ago of how many pistol brace owners there are, but keep in mind that's a few years ago. And people have been buying them up like crazy ever since then. And we've gone back and forth with this so many times. And here's what's happening right now. The Republicans have the trifecta. Okay. Many people that are pro 2A and really into guns happen to be Republicans. So you often hear things like, we have the White House. You'll hear things like, we have the House and Senate. And yeah, if you're a Republican, you do have all of that. But what does that actually mean? We've talked about that a lot on this channel. But here's the problem. So many people just kind of check out and they go to sleep and they say, well, the Republicans have the White House, the Senate, the House. We can just go to sleep. There's not going to be any gun control whatsoever, especially when you hear things like Pam Bondi's DOJ repeatedly over and over and over again saying that, you know, we're the most pro Second Amendment administration of all time. And look, they've certainly been a lot less worse than Merrick Garland and the former Vice President Biden's administration. So sure. And this is what we always end up with. Well, this is a little less worse than that. Sometimes it's a lot less worse. Sometimes, though, you can't even tell the difference between these two parties. And that's what we deal with. That's the paradigm. There's this duality where you're team red or you're team blue. And yeah, I get it. Team blue is probably out to get you a whole lot more for a lot of things, but team red's still out to get you too in so many cases. Almost all the time, actually. So we've had Bondies sitting there fighting certain court cases that they shouldn't be fighting, tying stuff up in court, in my opinion, trying to run out the clock till this administration's over. We've had the Department of Justice, the current one, come in and say things that on their face are very pro-Second Amendment. We've had them come in and, drop certain rules. We've had them, stop fighting certain cases. So, I'm trying to be transparent with all that. But at the end of the day, for anyone that still thinks they can just put their head in the sand because we are in charge, Team Red's in charge, it's called the Trump slump. Like, a lot of these manufacturers are like going out of business already or on the verge thereof, giving products away almost at this point because everyone's just checked out. They're just so frustrated and broke, they don't care anymore, which is half the people out there. But then the other half, I still see just repeating these same old tropes. Dude, we ain't going to get any gun control in Michigan because we have the Michigan House, they say. Now, that's stuff they say because I don't say we. There is no we or us as far as I'm concerned. I reject all of the major political parties, at least all the ones that I'm aware of, and I'm just sick and tired of all of it. And I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. But remember, the Michigan Speaker of the House voted for gun control in the last term. They've had every opportunity to put forth gun control repeal, like Representative Jim DeSantis' red flag repeal in Michigan. They won't hold a vote on it in committee. And I'm not sure they ever will. Now the Democrats are coming into Michigan. They're already getting ready for the next elections. Everybody's really, really in financial despair right now. They could get a lot worse with gas prices, fertilizer, food, just the bare things that people need to survive are projected to go up in price so much. And I hope this doesn't happen, but these are things being reported. These are things that a smart person's starting to think about right now. Like, what's going to go on in the Middle East? You're not going to solve this in like 2 weeks. I've said that so many times, and I think most of you know that. I hope you know that. This isn't just going to be over like tomorrow. I think it's barely even started, but I digress. Like, it's barely even started, in my opinion, but I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. So, look, there's a good chance Democrats are going to be flipping everything. So when the Republicans are in charge, they don't do crap. And then the Democrats come in and they do exactly what they promised they're going to do. And that's where we're at right now. Their state of Michigan stuff, I'm going to do videos on that. But now we're talking also about the federal level with the brace rule. Now, technically, what's the status right now of pistol braces? Okay. I actually printed this off of AI, Google. This is just a real quick thing. And look, I don't even like these sources, but I bring them up for a reason because it's important to realize what the mainstream's saying, what the other side's saying. Certainly Google and, in my opinion, YouTube and all of its subsidiaries are not pro-Second Amendment at all. So let's see what they say. So if you just literally type in ATF pistol braces, they say as of March 2026, the ATF's 2023 rule reclassifying brace pistols as SBRs has been permanently vacated and is no longer in effect. And that may be true, and it is actually true, but here's where the devil's in the details. Let me continue to read the normie viewpoint, and then we're going to get into this article. Federal courts, including the 5th and 8th Circuits, ruled the regulation was arbitrary and capricious and an overreach of agency authority. Current federal status, legality. Brace pistols are currently legal to own, sell, and use under federal law without NFA registration or tax stamp. And again, guys, this is according to Gemini AI, if you want to know my source on this. Classification, they are treated as standard handguns rather than SBRs, provided they are not otherwise modified. Example, adding a vertical foregrip. Enforcement, the Department of Justice, DOJ, dropped its appeals in key cases like Mock v. Bondi in 2025, effectively ending federal enforcement of the 2023 rule nationwide. Shouldering. Recent court rulings have vacated previous attempts to prohibit the shouldering of a pistol brace, making the practice currently legal at the federal level. Okay, it may be technically legal, but then remember, we have what's called rules that have full force and effect of law. Okay, so keep that in mind. We're going to get into that. There's the rule, and then there's another thing that's even more shadowy. It's even more deep, and I see my friend John Crump News in the chat, who's done a lot of reporting about this. Probably more than anybody, right, John? What's happening, man? I hope you're doing good, and shout out to the John Crump News channel, as always. But look, then there's like these internal policies that the ATF has. Now, there's the ones they publish when they're trying to do official rules, but then they have their own criteria behind the scenes that they won't tell us what it is. But sometimes insiders leak this information. Sometimes it gets found through, FOIA requests, like from the GOA and many other sources, right? So yeah, man, it's like there's the stuff you know about. There's the stuff they won't even tell you about. And here's the problem. I'll cut to the chase, but we're going to get into this article. We're kind of back, according to what the ATF's recently said, and a big court case, as well as stuff that they've kind of admitting that they've been doing already this whole time. Like, they've never totally stopped messing with people, right? We're kind of back into that FAFO territory where they're just daring you. They're just taunting you. They're like, do you like your dog? Do you remember Randy Weaver? And then you're like, well, hold on a minute. I don't want another Ruby Ridge. I mean, who would? No. Now they're in that territory where like, well, can I have a brace or can't I? What gun can I put it on? Can I put it to my shoulder? And they're like, You're like, well, hold on a minute. You're the ones that'll be breaking my door down and whatever. Will you just tell me, can I have it or not? And they just sit back. And it's like this stereotypical, like, comic book villain, like type caricature that they like to have, where they just sit back there. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? And they're like, F-O, F around, and you're going to find out. Well, so then what do? Do you have your brace or don't you? A lot of you are going to be in the camp of, nope, shall not be infringed. F you, I won't do what you told me. I'm going to run it. I'm going to have it. I'm going to do whatever the hell I want. That's what a lot of Americans say. But then there's still going to be a lot of people out there, and there always is. It's just the way things work. They're going to be like, ooh, I do kind of like my dog. Hey there, Fido. Oh, and they give their dog a little treat, and they're like, I don't really want, I don't want the little fella to be shot tonight, because that's what they do. They come in, your dog, your children, your family, everything. Brian Malinowski, Randy Weaver, we can go on and on and on. And they're like, well, I'm just going to err on the safe side, just kind of get rid of it. That's what they want. They want people to be afraid. They want you walking on pins and needles, not knowing what you can do next. Well, here's some key legal rulings. Mock v. Bondi, entire rule vacated. Found to violate the Administrative Procedures Act. Because very rarely do these, even Second Amendment groups, they hardly ever sue on the Second Amendment. It's usually they have to sue on other things. And look, I'm not a legal statistician or strategizer. So it's like, I'm sure they know what they're doing, but they're usually not even suing on like the Second Amendment itself. It's always these other things, which seem to be a bit more effective. But there you go. Mock v. Bondi, the entire rule is vacated, found to violate the Administrative Procedures Act. Okay, cool. Fifth and Eighth Circuits. Both courts ruled the ATF exceeded its statutory authority by reclassifying millions of firearms via regulation. And then Beretta v. ATF resulted in an initial nationwide injunction that blocked enforcement during litigation. Okay, so what's the big deal here? There's Supreme Court cases that have put in injunctions. They vacated the rule, meaning removed it. And yeah, man, that's where it is. So why are we even talking about this? We shouldn't be talking about this. Well, that's because the ATF has come in a recent court case and bragged basically and asserted and said, look, here's the deal. The rule has been vacated. This court case is moot, so we can just go home and not litigate this anymore. But by the way, just because the rule is gone, we don't need a rule. We don't need a rule to promulgate our law enforcement on the actual statutes themselves, talking about the National Firearms Act, further promulgated by the GCA in 1968. So what they're really saying is, yeah, dude, the rule's vacated, so what? We don't even, now they're to the point where they're basically saying, and I'm summarizing this for brevity, they're to the point where they're saying, dude, you guys thought it was bad enough that we made rules that had full force and effect of law, that were outside the rule of law, that changed the words of the law itself? Like, that's unconstitutional, obviously. And they're like, dude, we don't even need the rule anymore. So fine, the rule's vacated, whatever, who cares? But we're still going to go after braces on a holistic basis. Like, you'll just find out when we have you or your guns in custody. We'll just scrape up your brace from a pool of blood if that's how we need to raid you. And however it's just going to be a case-by-case basis, and we're just going to kind of do our thing. And we don't even need published rules to do that. That's essentially the ATF standpoint now. And by the way, we're going to talk about this in a minute. They've never stopped going after people with braces this whole entire time. So they've continued to go after people. And their argument is, sure, the rule got shot down in court, whatever. We give up on the rule. But we don't even need to have a published rule. We don't even need to use the Administrative Procedures Act. We can kind of just come after people and not even tell you why or when or what. And if you want to comply, we don't even really have to tell you what our criteria is. It's just going to be a case-by-case basis. Now, this is going to tie in with these free tax stamps that I predicted before. Unless there's some kind of 3D chess in the courts where they're going to get all of these items removed from the NFA outright. And that's what we need for a better, a little bit of a better outcome, because I'm sure they'll screw that up somehow. But the government, the courts, you know what I'm saying? But basically, unless this can go further, which right now there's not a lot of signs of that, this is where the free tax stamp comes back to get us. Because a lot of the brace owners did say, well, it's a free tax stamp. Why would I want a brace, which, isn't as good at shouldering or whatever, as a stock. So a lot of people have just switched their braces out to stocks via the free tax stamp. We had so many people just on the first day alone, as I reported, applying for free tax stamps, SBR, SBS, silencer. They shut down the whole system, and there continues to be people coming in droves. Every minute there's people, filing for more free tax stamps. So it kind of gets to the point where, and this is where we often find in the gun community, in the 2A community, and I guess just writ large of all people, period, right? People always want their little loophole. If they see the enemy coming and they can find just a little escape route, they can whack-a-mole, they can hide just long enough to live another day. Where's my loophole? Where's my outclaw? See, every time I report on this stuff, people are like, but hold on, 2A EDU, can I still do this? Can I still have that? And most people, and I'm not saying you guys watching, just most of your peers out there, most of the just people in this country, even including Second Amendment supporters and gun owners, as long as you give them just a little wiggle room, you can tighten the vice on them almost as hard, where they can breathe just a little, and they're still actually going to be just fine with it. And the Declaration of Independence talks about this. Thomas Jefferson said, until we reach absolute despotism, we haven't gotten there yet. And we'll probably be so weak by the time they finally pass that we're banning all guns and ammo bill, no matter what it is, no grandfather clause, and we're coming to your house tomorrow with a tank to get them, because that will be the bill eventually. But by then we'll be so weak, no one will have any fight left in them. That's what they hope, and I hope I'm wrong, but that seems where things are heading. It's a death by 1,000 paper cuts. So people are like, well, dude, that's my loophole. And I've actually talked to a couple people earlier today about this. Like, dude, who cares about the brace thing? We have free tax stamps now. And I even had someone give me a little crap. They said, dude, you're being petty about braces. Then they just kind of stared at me. They're like, what the heck's your problem, dude? They're like, I'm like, what's my problem? My problem is I have a problem with the ATF still going after braces after they've lost like hardcore several times in court. See, everyone says this. Every dude, if I had a nickel for every person that's left me a comment, 2A EDU, calm down. The courts will save us. The courts will save us. A lot of times the courts don't. Okay, but even when they do, in Mach v. Bondi, the Fifth and Eighth Circuits, Brito v. ATF, these were big victories that we won on, and the ATF says we don't care about none of that. We're not even going to go by the rule thing anymore. We're just going to do whatever the heck we want. Well, where's the courts to save you from that? Dude, the courts were never going to save this country. It was the American people that created this country, and it's only ever going to be the American people that can save this country. But we have lazy, apathetic people among us, and they just sit there, and I'm getting razzed by someone saying, dude, why are you messing around with a stupid brace? Just go get yourself a tax stamp. It's free. And I'm like, no, I don't want to have to go through the same procedure that I would if I was getting booked in jail. I don't feel like posing for a mugshot. I don't feel like giving them more fingerprints. Okay? I don't feel like my local law enforcement knowing the exact whereabouts of my firearm. I don't want to be on a National Firearms Act federal registry. Now, I get it. I'm already on a list. Obviously. Of course I'm on a list. But do I want to give them more information just voluntarily? No, I don't want to do that. Now, I know many of my viewers do. And some of you are probably applying for tax stamps right now. I ain't your daddy. I'm not a tyrant. I'm not going to tell you what you can and can't do. I'm just telling you what I don't want to do. I don't want to register my stuff. Okay? I don't want to go through this process. I think the whole thing's sick. And I just want to be left the hell alone. And I just want it to where the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Period. End of story. Love it or leave it. If you don't like it, you can leave my country. You can go somewhere else and don't come back. You're going to love my country, meaning the rule of law, the Constitution and Bill of Rights, or you can get the hell out and don't come back. It's just that simple for me. Leave me the hell alone. You have no choice but to love the country you live in, or you can leave and get the hell out. It's just, when it comes to our God-given liberties, our natural right to keep and bear arms. But no, I've been told already twice today, just get your tax stamp. It's a moot point. I'm like, I don't want to get a tax stamp. I don't want to have to get a permission slip to cross state lines. Now, there's invariably someone saying, dude, I'm not getting a tax stamp. I'm not doing anything. I'm not following any of the rules. Well, I understand that, but it sucks running around in life under duress of a long prison sentence over your head, for example. So I don't want to have to make the choice in a country that the supreme law of the land says shall not be infringed. I don't want to choose between, will I go to prison for 10 years tomorrow, or will I have to go unarmed, or go armed in a way that I don't think is the best way for me to be armed. Because it's not enough just to say, well, if you can have some guns, or if you can have a gun, no. The right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, meaning I will decide what type of arms I want to bear. I will decide how to protect myself. I'll decide how my family needs protected. And I'll decide what I need to carry to protect myself, my family, my friends. If it ever came to it, my town, my state, my country. That's what America's supposed to be all about. I don't want anyone interjecting, telling me what I need, what I don't need. I'll decide what I need. And that's just it, right? And I know so many of you feel the same way. But there's just a lot of people out there right now that are like, who cares about braces? Man up, get a tax stamp. And I'm like, dude, let's just man up and have a Second Amendment for once. How about that for once? Wouldn't that be awesome? Just to have the Second Amendment? So here's a thing from the NRA. And I do want to thank our friend Red, Band Talk. What's happening, man? How you doing, Red? For sending a generous cash app just now. I did get the alert on my phone this time. Sometimes it sends me the alert after it's done, and I feel terrible that I didn't thank you kindly. So thank you for sponsoring the channel tonight, man. I really appreciate you, dude. And I really do, because it's a tough go keeping this going right now. I think a lot of you guys understand that. So DOJ filing renews concerns about ATF's posture on brace pistols. And this is something the NRA ILA put out. The saga of ATF's enforcement of the National Firearms Act short-barreled rifle provisions against brace pistols has been a roller coaster ride of shifting interpretations. Ain't that the truth? Roller coaster? Yeah. NRA ILA has been keeping up with reporting on and advocating for reform the entire time. Look, NRA's been bad on many, many things. They've been pretty good on the pistol brace thing. They are fighting the good fight there. I just use them as a source because, look, they're actually giving us some data here. So this isn't me being a big NRA fanboy. Trust me, I'm a life member from many, many years ago. Haven't donated a penny in years. Wayne LaPierre, it's disgusting. So I just try to be as accurate as I can on this channel. The NRA has been stepping up with this pistol brace fight. They just have. There's a lot of skeletons in their closet, and I'm generally not a fan, but I think they are a good source on this. Does that make sense? What's happening, Joseph P? How you doing, man? It's changed all of your names out there, but nice to see you, dude, and thanks for being a channel member. Dude, long time no see. Are you doing all right, man? I hope you are. And look, I can't read every chat live because there's a lot to cover here, but I will read the replay, and I'll say hi to you guys at the end like I always do, whoever's out there tonight. So good to see all of you, even if I don't read all the chats for another day or two. All right. It seems we have reached a low point with the publication of the rule factoring criteria for firearms with attached stabilizing braces during the Biden-Harris administration. Yeah, that was true. That was an all-time low. I know, Vince, trying to move forward. Look, I just got to shoot it straight to you guys. And the internet's like so tribal. There might be someone being like, dude, why is he even saying the word NRA? No, I've ragged on the NRA as much as anybody. But when we rag on these people and try to get them to correct course and do a good job, even if it's kind of tough to do, and I'll admit it is kind of tough to do, okay? But it seems the NRA is actually on this. So I am gonna give them a little kudos where it's due. Maybe they'll betray us again later. Maybe they're getting on the right track. You guys know what I'm saying, right? I don't want to just be negative no matter what. Chat all you guys want. Chat all of you. Just chat it up. You guys are here for each other. Chat it up. You're not spamming the chat. Come on, man. Everything you want, man. Put it in there. Well, I don't know how to say this, man. Our friend Joseph says, yes, but I'm in hospice, end of life care. Well, that kind of says what it is. So I want to say, like, I hope you get better. Like, could you still get better? I hope you can. And I'm going to pray for you to get better, period. Because I do believe in prayer. And I pray that you're as comfortable as you can be and that you're hanging in there the best you can, man. I mean that totally sincerely. I don't want to sit here and be too somber or nothing, but good to see you, man. Good to see you. And I hope you're doing the best you can for the shape you're in. I really do. And if there's a chance for you just to get better outright, I'm going to pray and ask God if that's his will. And I hope that it is. So, but nice to see you. Okay, so the low point was during the Biden-Harris administration. Yes, NRA, along with other pro-Second Amendment groups, successfully challenged that rule in court, and its enforcement was enjoined against NRA members, as well as other plaintiffs groups. Like we've had like FPC, I think was part of it. I know GOA was, because I'm a GOA member, and all of this. Eventually, the rule was vacated in its entirety. Unfortunately, that did not provide the lasting relief many had hoped. So that's where we're at. We're going to keep getting into this. So look, the ATF lost in court thoroughly. That was supposed to be the end of us worrying about braces. It's just the beginning. And it was not the long-lasting relief that we had hoped. You know what, man? You were supposed to die 8 months ago. You're still here. You're still here. And God bless you for that. And look, I say this in so many of my streams, and I'm going to say it again, and I'll get back on this topic, guys. But some things are even more important than the Second Amendment, I guess, like life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. And look, man, I truly believe every breath we take is a gift from God. So you're here. You're about to take your next breath. You just got another gift from God, man. So I'm glad to see you're still hanging in there, my friend. I remember you told me you were, maybe passing away soon about a year ago, and I thought I'd never see you again. And I'm like, dude, he's back. I remember telling a friend that. I'm like, dude, he's back. Like, wow. So yeah, man. From Alabama. He's a Southern boy. I think I saw another. It's another Alabama. Is it Alabamian? Alabamian? Or just from Alabama? So we did that whole Michiganian versus Michigander. But that was in my previous video I did about the red flags. Alabama? I don't know. There's another dude from Alabama. Alabama's in the house tonight. I saw Live Life earlier. I see Joe Pichetti. I like Alabama, if I haven't told you guys that by now. All right. Last year, we reported on ATFs audaciously claiming in the waning days of the Biden-Harris administration that all braced pistols were subject to NFA, and then quickly walked back that position as overbroad. It's just a little history to remind you where we've been at the last couple of years, guys. All right. Then the NRA exposed the ongoing prosecution of Taylor Taranto. And I do remember this. It didn't get a lot of news. For possession of an unregistered SBR based on allegations concerning a CZ Scorpion Evo 3 S1 pistol with an attached SB tactical stabilizing brace. Taranto, I don't know how to pronounce my vowels sometimes, moved to have the charge dismissed. In its opposition to the motion filed during the Biden-Harris administration, the government claimed, listen to this, and this is still going on right now. This is getting right back in. We're getting right back where we were, is the point to all this. Although the rule is stayed and now vacated, ATF is not barred from continuing to enforce the underlying statute as it always has, by making case-by-case determinations about whether particular braced firearms constitute, quote, rifles under this statute. And of course, because the rule reflects ATF's best understanding of the statute, those determinations will naturally tend to look substantially like determinations that would follow from applying the clear framework outlined in the rule. Okay, that's kind of weird lawyer speak, but what they're saying is yeah, the rule's vacated. We can't use that anymore. But keep in mind, our rule was us just putting forth in that format the opinions we already have. So the rule's gone, but we still hold the opinions that we already had. See the games they're playing here? This is like really, really messed up, guys. This is like, wow. You ever heard the saying, don't piss on me and tell me it's raining? You guys know that saying, don't you? That's what this is. And that's the family-friendly version of what they're doing. Someone's like, well, come on, dude, be family-friendly. No, that is the family-friendly version to describe what they're doing. Trust me. NRA ILA reported on that case in February 2025, and the SBR charge against Taranto was dismissed, quote, in the interest of justice, under the Trump administration that April. The dismissal of Taranto's NFA charge followed and an April 7th, 2025 announcement that the U.S. Department of Justice and ATF of a, quote, comprehensive review of the stabilizing brace regulations. This was supposed to include consultations with stakeholders, including gun rights organizations, industry leaders, and legal experts, with the goal of ensuring the resulting policies are constitutional and protective of Americans' Second Amendment rights, end quote. In the meantime, though, ATF continued to resist attempts by litigants in cases remaining against the rule to obtain final judgment on the rule's illegality, claiming the issue was rendered moot by the final judgment in the case vacating the rule. This, the agency claimed, rendered the rule formally nullified and revoked. Well, why are they trying to get rid of some of these other cases? Well, I'll tell you why, because some of these other cases we're going to go further and say, yeah, not only was the rule unconstitutional due to all of this, but for other reasons, you're not going to be allowed to do this again. And they might go as far as, in some of the cases, challenging the NFA itself and maybe even removing items from the NFA. The ATF does not want it to go there. Even under the Trump administration and Pam Bondi, they don't want it to go there. Now, when I say the Trump administration, I'm just reminding you guys, look, the Democrat administration, now the Republican. Has Trump come out against the Second Amendment in the past blatantly? Yes, he has. And we've reported on that here. Right now, I think he's really big with Israel, with Iran. He's got a lot going on. I'm not saying that Trump personally is even aware of all the details of this. I'm not saying Trump's personally making the call right now. When or if, because I hope it's not true, but when or if I get indication Trump is, because he could come out willy-nilly and say, I don't like braces, get them gone. That's what he did with bump stocks. He called for red flag laws. That was in the first administration. But as of right now, we'll let you know immediately if he does. I'm not even saying Trump's personally involved in this. I'm just reminding you that it doesn't seem to matter when it comes to these bureaucracies with the ATF. So many of these other 3-4 letter agencies, it doesn't seem to matter whether there's Republicans in office or Democrats. They just keep kind of doing what they do. And I think you guys know what I mean by this. In the meantime, though, I already started that one. On March 16th, government filing in the ongoing case of Texas versus ATF has now renewed concerns that the agency reserves the right to continue bringing felony prosecutions under the NFA for possession of unregistered braced pistols. So this is what's going on right now. The previous part I read was just bringing us back up to speed in case we forgot some of the details, okay? Now, the passage in question is meant to rebut the plaintiff's claims that there are still live issues in the case that deserve a final judgment on the merits rather than being dismissed on mootness. Okay. Here's an excerpt from the ATF's official statement. In response to one such argument the government wrote, and they wrote this in a legal briefing. This is not a rumor. This is not like maybe somebody said something. This was in a legal briefing on the record for the court. So we need to take heed to what I'm about to read here, is what I'm trying to get at. Like, alert, alert, you know. Plaintiffs also make much of the fact that defendants, i.e. the ATF, continue to enforce the NFA's and GCA's regulation of short-barreled rifles against some brace-equipped pistols, even though the rule has been universally vacated. Okay, so the plaintiffs, meaning the gun rights groups representing us, are calling out the ATF, being like, dude, the rule's been vacated, but you're still going after some people with brace pistols. And the government's coming back being like, yeah, they called us out on it. And then the government continues. But that should come as no surprise, as that is consistent with how ATF have always explained how things work if a court vacated the rule or enjoined its enforcement. Whoa. So they're saying we've always just ignored court orders. That's how I read it. I'm going to read it one more time. I think that's what that says, doesn't it? Like, dude, we always have and we always will just ignore what courts do. This is a fourth unchecked branch of government, is what they're telling us. Let me read it again. But that should come as no surprise, as that is consistent with how ATF have always explained how things work if a court vacated the rule or enjoined its enforcement. ... At any rate, that ATF continue to enforce certain statutory requirements and prohibitions that they have been delegated the authority and responsibility to administer is irrelevant to whether plaintiffs' ATA challenge is now the defunct rule is moot. They're saying that no matter how this court case turns out, they're saying it's moot, but they're basically saying it's irrelevant. They're like, dude, we're losing in court. We don't want to lose any worse, so let's just end these lawsuits and call it moot. They're saying that out of one side of their mouth, but they pretty flagrantly just said this should come as no surprise. This is consistent how we've always done these things. And this is completely irrelevant to whether plaintiff's APA challenge to the now defunct rule is moot. So they're saying, just end the lawsuit right now and let us off the hook. But even if you don't, it's still completely irrelevant. we're still just going to do whatever the heck we want. Wow. The upshot of this passage is that ATF continues to assert its right to bring felony charges related to the unregistered possession of an SBR in cases solely based on braced-equipped pistols. Worse, the public has no way of knowing which pistols. Braced pistols, ATF believes, trigger the underlying statutes. That's what I told you earlier. We have no way of even knowing whether our brace would trip this and we'd be in felony territory or not. You know what most people are going to do? It's just going to be too much stress, and they're just going to run out and get a free tax stamp. And they'll be okay for now. But keep in mind, you're on a federal registry. Like, registration always has, and in my opinion, always will lead to gun confiscation. So you're on whenever they decide to enact it. It's not if, it's when. Whenever they decide to enact it, you will be on the confiscation list. So you basically have to be so afraid of your pistol brace, is what they want you to be, that you'll either get rid of it altogether, maybe you'll just get out of guns altogether. That they would love that even more. I'm not telling you to get rid of your guns. I'm telling you the ATF and the government would just like you to just get rid of them all, they say. Go on that boating accident that people always brag about, you know. Lost my guns in a boating accident. They love that kind of talk. Trust me. Or you'll get so nervous, you'll take the brace off, and then it's too unwieldy, and you don't really want to shoot it anymore. Or you'll just, the way it's worded now by a lot of people, man up and buy that tax stamp because it's free. Go buy it for free. Buy one for free, get 100 for free. Free train ride. Well, where's the train going? Just all aboard. Choo, 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 choo. All aboard the old train. Free tickets. Well, shoot, if it's free, that's the American way. Get on there. Then you're on the registration list, aka the confiscation list. Let's go pick up the guns. Where are they at? Oh, look here. Johnny complied. Let's go to Johnny's house and pick up these SBRs. I hope it doesn't happen. And it won't happen until one day it does. I mean, look. This is under what's been proclaimed by them the most Second Amendment friendly administration of all time. That makes it hurt for a lot of people. See, I just became a black sheep a while ago. I just completely became disenchanted with the political parties. There's no more like Team Red for me or we or us. The only we and us is like regular people like me and you. Like, I'll say we when I see a lot of the awesome people in this chat right now. Like, yeah, I'm part of that we. And us, we the people. We have to stand together. We're certainly going to hang separately. Oh, yeah, I'm about that type of we and us. But when it comes to, like, we have the White House, who has the White House? You know what I mean? What territory is in charge of the White House? I don't even know what the White House means anymore. If I even say certain words, I'll get shadow banned even further on this site. I'm trying to keep from saying a certain word tonight, and maybe people will be able to see some of my really important Michigan videos I need to get out this week that people in Michigan need to know about. But probably no one will see them because there's a certain 3-letter word you can't say on this site. But you know what I'm saying, man. Red, blue, it's just so frustrating. It's just so frustrating at this point. So worse, the public has no way of knowing which brace pistols the ATF believes trigger the underlying statutes. Worse still, one of the citations the government uses in making this point in its brief makes clear the ATF considers this to be the case even with respect to plaintiffs' groups like NRA members who have obtained injunctions specifically prohibiting enforcement of the ATF's prior rule. And again, not giving you guys legal advice, but I believe that would include GOA, FPC, probably a couple other ones that I just can't remember right now. So they're saying it just doesn't even matter. And man alive, like, I love people to have hope. And we do need to have hope. Our friend Big Joe Picetti that's in the chat, man, he's been a friend of the channel a long time. he has hope right now, and he's really, really sick, and things aren't looking too good. But hey, he was supposed to be dead 8 months ago, and he's still breathing. He's still kicking. He's a tough guy. That type of hope. Look, hope, love, faith. These are very, very important things. Very, very important. But when it comes to hope and some of this other stuff, man, it's just you just keep getting let down over and over and over again. And so many times people have told me, if they've said it once, they've said it 1,000 times. Don't worry, 2AE to you. The courts will have our back. We just need to win one more lawsuit. And look, I'll take the victories when we get them in court. Like, it's not that. I'm not a nihilist. I'm not at all. I'm a realist. And no matter how much negativity I have to report on here, my purpose has been and still is to encourage all of you. I'm not black-pilled. I'm really not. And I don't want to be. But it's just like, dude, we need to realize we're in dire straits because we are. I'm not trying to bring it on. I don't want it to be. But I just keep shaking my head more and more. It's like, guys, we have to take our heads out of the sand. You know? Well, we just have to win this Mock v. Garland case. And then it got switched over to Mock v. Bondi. Relax, 2AE to you. We have the House, my friends tell me. We have the Senate. We have this. We have that. And look, I believe in we like me and you, we, but I don't believe in we like as in like we the government. Why have we, meaning us people, even gotten to the point where when we say we, we're thinking about some political party? See, there's this, here's the problem. There's this big elephant and there's this donkey. The elephant's red, the donkey's blue, and they fight, and they fight, and they fight. And I'm like, I'm not going to follow a donkey. I'm not going to follow this red elephant. My hope's actually in the lamb. And I would like to be able to sit with the sheep and lambs at the right hand of God. And that is true hope. And I say that with as much encouragement as I possibly can. I do believe, though, while we're here on earth, we do need to fight the good fight. And that's what this is about. So does this mean a crackdown against those in possession of pistol braces is imminent? Question mark. It's impossible to say with certainty, but there are reasons to believe that's not the case. So they may be cracking down, they may not be, but it's this whole thing where it's like, oh, hold on a minute. Are they or aren't they? You just don't know. You just don't know until it's too late. Your question isn't very thought out. So want to sheep ... Okay. If you could translate that into English, I can maybe address it. I'm not sure what you mean by that. I'm talking about as it's written. Okay. Yes. I know we've turned into modern. Let me just get off on this little tangent, guys, and I'll get right back into this. I do understand on the surface that's an insult to say we're just a bunch of sheep. We shouldn't be sheep herded by our government. So no, you don't want to be a sheeple when it comes to the government. And if anyone's watched this channel at all, I do not advocate for being a sheep. I'm being like very, very specific. And I thought I was being very, very specific. But if I wasn't, I will just move on from this because you're right. There is two different definitions. And I'm not really sure what you mean because your structure's terrible, but that's fine, dude. I think I know what you mean by this. No. I do not believe the government's my shepherd. I believe the Lord is my shepherd, and with him I shall not want. And I believe that Jesus tends to his flock. And I believe I am one of the sheep, and I'm trying my best to stay in that flock of Jesus Christ, who I believe died for my sins, and through him that I might be saved. And I believe he did rebuild the temple in 3 days, and the temple is Jesus. And I believe that Jesus, as my shepherd, will provide the guidance that if I can do my part, and I'm trying, I really am. Might be doing a good job of it, and might not be, but I'm been trying to focus on it as much as I can lately. I'll just say that. And then through Jesus, that I might be saved and ascend to heaven and be able to sit at the right hand of God with the sheep and not the goats that are on the left. So I know some people aren't biblical, and you just gave me a thumbs down and tuned out, and that's okay if that's what you have to do. But that is the perspective I'm looking at it through. So no, don't be a sheep with the government. We don't want sheeple when it comes to, look, here's it's just simple. When it comes to us fighting this good fight here on earth, there's times where we do need to take up a sword. There's times for love, there's times for hate, there's times for peace, and there's times for war. That's what the Bible says. There's times to cast away stones, and there's time to gather stones together. It's all written. But I'm talking about the broader principles. Look, I believe this is a battle of good versus evil. And I want to be a sheep in Jesus' flock. But when it comes to this government, no, don't be a sheep, because when the people fear the government, there is tyranny. And that's what this whole thing's supposed to be, is you fearing the government. But when the government fears the people, then there's liberty. So I'm glad you provided that comment. As incoherent as it kind of was, because yeah, there's just two different domains that we can talk about this topic on, and hopefully I clarified that. For one, the ATF remains under the authority of the U.S. Department of Justice and ultimately the White House. Both have given repeated assurances. So this is if you trust, this is what they've said. They've given repeated assurances of the intention to revisit the Biden-Harris administration's aggressive enforcement policies concerning brace pistols. And as evidenced by the dismissal of the SBR count in the Toronto case, the DOJ's decision last year to drop its appeal of the decision vacating the Biden-era rule has been followed up by concrete action. So, hey, they did drop the case against this one guy. Cool. They've said, we'll vacate the rule. Cool. But then the problem is more currently than that. They've said, no, it doesn't matter what the rule is. We'll do what we want. So this article's almost over. I'm going to continue. It's also standard practice among career lawyers in the U.S. government to make arguments that maintain maximum prerogatives for the government decision-making. There you go. There you go. They want to leave the door open to still do whatever the heck they want. While senior DOJ and ATF officials are signatories on the brief, it appears it was actually drafted by 3 DOJ career attorneys. There you go. Career attorneys who operate under the premise that the government, as their client, should make the minimum concessions necessary to resolve any case challenging its power. The minimum necessary? No, they should be making maximum concessions, meaning complete concession. They should be completely surrendering to us and just acknowledging that the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. That would be the actual answer, but it's the opposite. These career lawmakers may only be vaguely aware of the larger political issues surrounding their agencies, and may indeed be conscientiously intending to ignore them. In a bureaucracy as sprawling as the U.S. government, functionaries must, by necessity, have some leeway in discharging their duties without senior management. Meaning, look, this administration is going to come and go. These are career people. They're going to be here the next 5 years, 10, 20, 30 years. Some of these people are going to be working here. So they're going to be here a lot longer. They can outlast the president, this president, the next president. Just think about that. Of course, there's also the more cynical take that career officials may be all too aware of their political priorities of ATF and DOJ senior leadership and may be actively trying to undermine and embarrass their bosses who operate at the political levels. That may be true. Or there's people love that 3D chess thing. Maybe the senior leadership's like good cop, bad cop. I'm going to say most pro-Second Amendment administration of all time. And then I'll pretend I'm not noticing you continuing to screw them. What do you guys think? Is that possible? Not sure. I don't know. Trust the plan yet? Do you guys trust the plan? If this view were correct, it would not be the first time deep state operatives publicly bucked the Trump administration's pro-Second Amendment inclinations, as in the case of Mel Gibson's restoration of Second Amendment rights. There you go. They just put it in a court briefing in plain English, saying, look, the case just needs to be mooted. Move on. Nothing to see here. We don't want to lose any words. But here's the problem. Even if we do lose, we're not really going to accept it as a loss, and we're just going to do what we always have. And it's always been our policy to do everything we always have. So, to answer the question in the title, pistol braces, are they illegal again? I don't know. You won't know either unless or until. So I guess FA, and if your head's in the sand, maybe I could suggest just dig the hole 6 inches deeper. They might not find you. Maybe you could buy, some fake ostrich feathers and adorn yourselves with those. Then they won't ever see you. I don't know. I mean, there's people always ask me, but 2A EDU, what's my loophole? I don't know. Go buy like an ostrich costume at your local 5 and dime and put it on. Here's my thing. For everyone that's like, but what's my loophole? It's real simple. Go to your local thrift shop. See if they have an ostrich outfit. Dig that hole nice and deep. Put your head in it, and you might be good to go. But what if I'm not? I don't know. It's just a suggestion. The problem is all these ostriches with their head in the sand. Here's where people mess up. They just go out there and just dig a hole and put their head in the sand. It's like, dude, I can still see it's a person. I don't want to harm any actual animals. So fake ostrich feathers. Just gather a bunch of fake ostrich feathers and put those on first, and you might be able to hide a little bit better from Uncle Sam. That's about all I can give you for now. Marco Polo, channel member for 47 months. Thanks for all the support, man. I really appreciate it, and good to see you. He says GOA and the VCDL are fighting in VA. And boy, do you guys have the gun control flowing in right now. So keep up the good fight in Virginia, my friend, and all you Virginians and, well, everywhere. I mean, coming up here soon, I just got to find time to do these videos. It's just hard, guys. Like, I'm trying to get my lawnmower ready this weekend, but there's a lot coming to Michigan. I don't know if it's any worse than Virginia or not. Or it's just getting to the point where your head spins from all this, really. And yet these Republicans still won't repeal gun control. What do you guys think that is? What about the senator from Texas? Real quick here, guys, and I'm going to get into the Beretta Ruger thing because that's getting crazy as I'll get out. The junior senator from Texas. Texas right now is in flux. So the Democrat that won in the primaries is currently polling like way ahead of either John Cornyn or Ken Paxton. Like, let me know if you guys live in Texas. What's up with that? Now, the junior senator right now of Texas, Ted Cruz, he literally said, and I heard him say it, he said that people who say Christ is king. Now, I had to go back in my Bible and read a little bit more on that because I know it's in the Bible, obviously, but man, within like 30 minutes, I found it like 10 times or something like that. I didn't count exactly, but he said anyone that says that Christ is king, and I'm paraphrasing him after this, but something like that's just code word for they hate this 1 3-letter word that you're not allowed to say on here anymore. I'm like, excuse me? So I don't know what's going on in Texas right now, but man, you guys are talking about Jesus in the chat, which is excellent, but I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute now. He said, well, I grew up a Christian and we never said Christ is king. When I grew up, we just said like, love your neighbor and do unto others and all this. And I'm like, well yeah, of course the Bible says that, but the Bible literally talks about King of Kings, Lord of Lords. The shepherds heard the angels while they were out tending to their flock at night by night. They were notified that a new king would be born. Like King Herod tried to trick the wise men. And he said, I want to worship this new king. Remember that? And he tried to trick the wise men because really he wanted to find Jesus to kill him. But the wise men were wise, though. They were a lot wiser than King Herod. So they never went back and told Herod where Jesus was, where he lay in a manger. So by the time Herod finally realized, ooh, these wise men outsmarted my little 3D chess plan, Jesus, Mary, Joseph had already fled to Egypt. They were already in Egypt by then, and then King Herod had to kill all the male small children and babies to make sure that he got Jesus. But that was all about, like, is stuff crazy? Who is this guy? Who is this guy? There was a time, like in 2016, it's like that old song that I like. Some of you guys know this country song. The main chorus says something like, I wish somehow I didn't know now what I didn't know then. Sometimes it's just like information overload. Like you just want to plug your ears and blah. No, I don't really want to do that, but man, I need to get rid of it. I've got my Ted Cruz 2016 sticker on my wall here. Why? Well, I'm a single issue voter. And I'm like, the Second Amendment. Yeah, he was like a very, very important government litigator in Heller. Ted Cruz's resume at that point, you know, like really, really good on the Second Amendment. Like he had put his money where his mouth was. He was the Solicitor General of Texas. But anyways, now I'm watching this guy and he's literally saying that if you say Christ is king, that means you hate this little 3-letter word. And I'm just doing an experiment tonight, guys, because my channel got like some real strange stuff happening to it after last week's stream. Like very, very, very strange stuff. Dude, I don't know what's going to go on. Like, are the Democrats just going to take everything? And here's the problem. I'm going to get back on this Beretta thing. But look, guys, I've already made it crystal clear my opinion on this war and these wars and these holy wars. And go back and watch my previous live streams if you missed them or you're new here. So I won't repeat everything I've said. But I'm not anti this little 3-letter word. Actually, I'm not against people that are that. I've never even once given that inkling because I'm not. But they need to find like new PR people because all the people that are sticking up for him is actually making me almost want to be that way. I'm being honest with you. The more they keep coming on, running their mouth, telling us how much we have to get down on our knees and worship this, and Christ isn't king, and if you say Christ is king, then you hate these little 3-letter that wear a little hat, you know, and all this. It's like, dude, I've never been an anti one of those. I actually focus my prejudice on a completely separate group if you want to know the absolute truth. Because I'm not perfect. And everybody has prejudice. Trust me, they do. But the more you've got Ted Cruz and Mark Levin and all these telling us exactly how we're supposed to do everything in our life, it's almost making me want to become one. So I just wanted to get that off my chest because I can't be the only one that's kind of like that. And let me know. If I'm the only one, just tell me, dude, we have no idea what you're saying. I know I'm kind of speaking in code because there's this little teeny 3-letter word that I'm just doing an experiment tonight. Okay. It's not that I'm afraid of the man. I just have a suspicion. I have a suspicion because I saw something happen behind the scenes on my dashboard of this site. And I'm like, I think I know what's going on here. You know who's in charge when you know who you're not allowed to talk about, if you know what I mean. Well, we'll see. We'll see. I haven't come to my final conclusions yet. but I'm pretty sure. Dude, I don't want to, Red. No, dude, I don't want to go there, man. Look, I have some prejudice to me, and I think it's for good reason, a lot of it, but I did not want to be prejudiced against these people. I don't want to, but the more their handlers and sycophants keep talking about them, it's making me want to be. It's really making me want to be, you know? I don't want to be. You guys know what I'm getting at. The struggle is real right now with this stuff. Like, I'm just being like 100% candid with you. But I'll stop because I don't even know if I'm being coherent at this point. I don't want to get that way, but I kind of really do right now. If you know what I mean, you know what I mean. If not, then pray for me, please. Because I don't want to be anti. And I really never have been, but man, is Ted Cruz making me want to be so bad right now. All right. How are you guys doing tonight? No, I don't have anything against regular people. Just so you guys know that. It's nothing like that. I just wish Ted Cruz and Mark Levin and all these and Lindsey Graham would just shut their mouth. Get out of the Senate. Go move over there. Go move over there. Enjoy the Nile. Enjoy the Euphrates. I've heard there's good fishing over there. Actually, I've heard there's terrible fishing over there. Just go over there and don't come back if you hate this country. All right. Speaking of this country, have you guys heard about the big things going on with Beretta right now and Ruger? Now, there's some rumors that I've been seeing published that have said Beretta owns Ruger now. Well, they own part of them and have for a while now. Officially, right this minute, no, but there's a lot of stuff going on with this. So, real quick about Beretta, if you don't know how vast they are, Beretta Holdings owns a vast portfolio of over 50 subsidiaries, making it a global leader in firearms, optics, and ammunition. Key brands include Benelli, Sacco, Tika, Stoger, Franke, Uberti, Holland & Holland, Chapuis Armes, I've never heard of them, but I've heard of all the rest of these, Steiner Optics, Burris Optics, and Ruag Amotech. They are a family-owned company. Beretta Holdings is managed by Gasali Beretta family and oversees these brands to serve civilian defense and law enforcement markets worldwide. They also operate through Benelli USA facilities in Accokeek, Maryland, and maintain a 9.95% share in Sturm, Ruger and Company. They're a 500-year-old company out of Italy, family-owned. They're a conglomerate. They've had many big U.S. contracts. One of the most famous would be the Beretta M9. Well, here's the deal. So if we go back to this is like current news because there's been stuff kind of floating around about them for a couple months now. I'm going to go through a quick brief here from the Reload that was published on March 11th. So just a week and a half ago. All right. And I know a lot of you guys are going to have certain favorites of brands as we discuss this topic. You're a Beretta guy. You're a Ruger guy. Maybe you're a Glock guy. Maybe you're a SIG guy, HK, Taurus, PSA. We can go on and on. Colt, CZ. Well, I'm going to talk about the broader implications, and it wouldn't be my goal, but I might piss a bunch of people off. So make sure you give me a thumbs up if you haven't yet, because I'm going to get some thumbs downs because I'm going to start ripping on these foreign companies taking over our country. And I think most people would agree with me on that, but it's really hard for people to separate. Like, they're like, God first, then their family, then their country, then their material things. But just keep in mind, though, even some of God's chosen people were found as they went up to the mountains worshiping a golden calf. So this has always been a thing. And sometimes people will like really, really get their ethos tied up in material objects. If that's your thing, don't take anything I'm going to say as anything personally offensive, but I'm about to say screw a whole bunch of companies. Some of them might be your favorite brands, but I don't like what's going on here. It's happened too much. And I'm sick of all these foreigners in our country that don't like our country. And they're always going to put their country first every time. Okay, I'm not talking about people immigrating from. I'm saying like they're still, their loyalties are to the old country. I'll give you guys an example. If you're from Italy, I happen to know that one of my grandfathers is from Italy. 100%. Do I talk about being Italian? No, because I'm not an Italian. I'm an American. Now, one of you might be 100% of Italian ancestry, but here's the difference. When you say, I'm an American, and then we talk further and it might come up where your lineage is from, and that's great, and that's fine. But you just know it when you see it. When someone walks up and the first thing they say is, and they have to qualify it with something, as an African American, as a Hispanic American, as an Italian American, okay, as a Canadian American. You can pick the country, you can pick the whatever. When you lead with whatever it is first, that still tells me you still got a lot of loyalties in the other place. And I'm tired of all these other countries taking over our country. Not to be confused with good immigrants coming in from other countries that want to assimilate. Now, there's nothing wrong with someone saying, I'm an American, period. That's it. And oh, by the way, since we're discussing this, yeah, I have family that's from Italy. I have family that's from Mexico. I have family from Canada, wherever it is. Dude, that's like totally different. So I'm trying to be very clear how I'm saying this. These are foreign companies that are taking over our gun industry. They're taking over our ammo industry. And more often than not, they end up going against the Second Amendment because in their country, keep in mind, they're only over here, in my opinion, to mine the money out of Americans. They're here to strip mine us until we're completely dry. And we're like, what, 30-something trillion in debt, gas prices, everything's on the rise. Our country's already broke to no end, but they're still going to keep mining it for as much as they can. Then when it all collapses, they're going to laugh and go back to their country. That's what I'm talking about here. Beretta is a company from another country. I want to make that crystal clear. No matter how much you like their guns or not. Yes, they have American subsidiaries. Yes, I like some of their guns too. It's just getting to be more and more and more. So with that said, this is from the Reload. America's largest publicly traded gun company has accused its Italian rival of attempting to seize control of its operations. What's happening, Mr. C? See, you're half Italian. I don't know this for sure about you, but I'm going to guess you don't live in Italy right now, and America's your country, right? When I say Italians, though, I'm talking about like these people are literally like Italian. This is an Italian company. You know what I'm saying? I mean, my mom's half Italian, so no problem. Rosie, right here. What's happening, Rosie? How you doing? She says, raised American. And it angers the Mexicans when I say that. Yet I know almost nothing about Mexico. Makes no sense. Well, look. You have Mexican heritage, right? But you're an American. There is a difference between the two. I don't have a problem with Mr. C. I don't have a problem with Rosie. I don't have a problem with myself. Like, I'm not like a, what's it pronounced, Inuit, like Eskimo type. From the science I've studied, that's probably what the Native Americans are. People that were native to this continent back when there was a land bridge. And again, this is not my expertise. I could be wrong, but the stuff I've studied, that's kind of, maybe not the final conclusion, but I believe probably that's kind of the Eurasian look. I think that's a better way, maybe, over encompassing kind of the Eurasian type, like what Native Alaskans, Eskimos kind of look like. That's probably what the natives are to this continent. I think so. But I'm not that, okay? So Obviously, different parts of my family many years ago immigrated here. So there's a difference. These are foreigners taking over American companies. Got me? In a public statement released Monday, Sturm Ruger said Beretta is attempting to stealthily gain control of it through discounted share purchases and strategic board appointments. Ruger further alleged its proposals for a collaborative business relationship with Beretta were rebuffed, and that the company threatened to, quote, go to war if its takeover demands were not met. Oh, so Ruger's saying, like, dude, they tried to collaborate, and Beretta said, nope, we're willing to go to war if these takeover demands aren't met. So it's not like they're just trying to politely buy Ruger. This is according to Ruger, allegedly. Ruger saying, dude, they're telling us they're just going to take us if we refuse to sell. That's nasty. Beretta sought to buy Ruger stock at a 15% discount from Ruger in a private placement and obtain disproportionate board representation and voting power that would give it near veto power over important matters, the company said. Ruger's board will continue to protect Ruger stockholders and all Ruger stakeholders. Now, look, I put Ruger on the suspicion list a few months ago saying, let's see. I'm not sure how them and their legal counsel was going to act with this RXM. And she's not too promising in my opinion, and I'm not impressed. But as of right now, Ruger has not gone into Glock territory, where Glock went rabidly anti-Second Amendment. They called for gun control blatantly. The Austrian company named Glock, also not Americans. Glock hates the Second Amendment because they literally called for gun control. Ruger's not done that. Will they someday? Maybe. And they are on my watch list. Make no mistake. They haven't crossed any red lines from me. But I'm watching them because you got to be suspicious of all these people. Just saying. Beretta's the one that had that. How do we say this on YouTube? Do you guys remember when they had that spokes? We'll just say person. That makes me think of that spokesperson that makes me think of my F350, okay? 7.3 power stroke, follow me, with a 4R100 transmission in it. Remember when Beretta had the person that reminds me of that 4R100 transmission that's in my pickup truck out there? Like this, there's some history with this. But Ruger's on the watch list as of right now, though. I'm rooting for them over a foreign company, if you guys want to know where I'm at. In a statement of its own on Tuesday, Beretta denied that it was attempting a takeover and fired back at what they called, quote, blatantly false and misleading statements by Ruger. Ooh. See, some of this stock stuff's like really convoluted. So all you stock experts can chime in and I'll study up later. Because they're going to buy it at a discount through a private placement. And it's like, and Ruger doesn't want them to buy it that way, but they might not be able to stop it. And it's like, it's just weird. Quote, Beretta Holding is disappointed that Ruger has elected to egregiously violate its contractual obligations under its confidentiality agreement with us and share confidential discussions in an underhanded, distorted attempt to discredit Beretta Holding, the company said. Quote, we remain open to a negotiated outcome and believe such a resolution would best serve Ruger and its shareholders. So they're basically saying, dude, we believe you're not even allowed to tell the American people or your shareholders what we're doing. See, I don't like that. Like, if you're trying to decide who's telling the truth here, I always kind of lean towards the guy that says, and you're not allowed to talk about it, a lot of times is the bad guy. Because I do believe sunlight is a very excellent disinfectant. And if there's something going on, let the people know about it. And we can kind of, maybe go from there. Does that make sense? So even though I don't have proof, I'm using context clues that Beretta's like, yeah, but we had a confidentiality agreement. You weren't allowed to talk about what we're doing. It's like, well, hold on then, Beretta. If everything was false that Ruger said, then why are you worried about them repeating what was said? And why are you telling them that they're not allowed to talk about this in our country? The public back and forth marks a serious escalation in the recent discussions between Ruger and Beretta. It sets the stage for a potential proxy fight with control over one of the few publicly traded American firearm giants hanging in the balance. And I want you to focus on that for a second. There's only a few left. No, there really is. There's literally only a few actual decent sized American firearms companies. Now, I know there's a bunch of smaller ones, and I love small businesses, but I'm talking like big league, like that could fulfill like large contracts and these juggernaut sized companies. There's there's almost no American companies left, actually, like literally almost none at this point. They've all been bought up by foreigners. Beretta first began acquiring shares of Ruger back in September 2025, according to the company, eventually amassing a 10% stake. In an interview with the Wall Street Journal last month, Beretta Holdings CEO Pietro Gasali Beretta said the company was looking to expand its presence in the U.S. civilian firearms market to hedge against volatility in its European military businesses. See, here's the thing. In a way, these foreign companies love that we have a Second Amendment, right? Because we're a cash cow and we're one of the only countries where you can still buy many available firearms with us still not living under our supreme law of the land whatsoever, which is the Second Amendment. America is generally less restricted than most, not all, but most countries. Certainly European countries like Italy. So they're like, yeah, we'll sell guns to you because you can still buy them off of us. While in almost every case, it always comes out later that these foreign companies hate the Second Amendment, though, actually. He also said Beretta was not looking to launch a takeover or win board seats at Ruger, but rather to work collaboratively on a mutually beneficial business strategy. Ruger, however, claims the company's activities over the last few months belie those statements. After several months of continuing to purchase its stock, Ruger said Beretta leadership initially refused to meet. Ruger then adopted a shareholder rights plan, commonly known as a poison pill, to guard against a potential takeover. Eventually, the two sides held a sit-down in December of 2025. At that meeting, Beretta's chair indicated a long-term plan to combine Ruger with Beretta, but made no formal proposal. Ruger said. Beretta's chair also indicated that he had no interest in the status quo and that he would find a way to increase his position if Ruger remained resistant. So he didn't want to just work with them on a collaborative. He wanted to take over, and if Ruger resisted, he would increase. Mr. Beretta would. That's what, according to Ruger. The companies again met in February. So that's this February, just like a few weeks ago, to discuss possible arrangements, Ruger said, but the two sides failed to come to an agreement. According to Ruger, that's when Beretta began advancing extreme demands. Quote, Beretta, a competitor of Ruger, demanded that it receive disproportionate representation on the board and sought to appoint a member of the Beretta management team to Ruger's board, which would violate U.S. antitrust laws, the company said. Ooh. The board seats and ownership level Beretta demanded would trigger mandatory CFIUS review. That's CFIUS. Review implicating sensitive national security issues. I think our military, for like military contract firearms, by the way, should have to buy from American companies. Okay. And it's clearly not been that way for a long time, by the way. They talk about national security. Yeah. I mean, think about this. What if you needed to defend yourself against and had to go to war against another country? What if they make your current service issue firearm? Oh, geez, where could that possibly go wrong? I mean, just think about that for a minute. How could that possibly go wrong? Hey, Mr. Beretta, we need some new guns so we can shoot your people. You know, I mean, come on. How does that work? They're going to say no. Not saying we're going to go to war with Italy, and I don't want that, but when we have been against war with Italy within the last like 80 years, so I mean, this isn't like completely preposterous. Our government's just stupid. This country we live in is getting more stupid by the day. I'll tell you guys what, man. Beretta retorted that any suggestion of potential regulatory and national security issues is transparent scare tactics aimed to distract from the board's oversight failures. Beretta Holding has nominated a minority slate of experienced nominees that are running as independent directors, and at no time did we suggest appointing our CEO to Ruger's board, the company said. Any implication that Beretta Holding proposed actions that would violate applicable rules or regulations is simply false. Beretta maintained that it, quote, remains committed to reaching a constructive solution that would help reverse persistent underperformance, underscored by Ruger's disappointing full-year results. Well, yeah, we're in the Trump slump, as it's called. The economy's terrible right now. I mean, I don't know. You guys know what I'm saying. Okay, Bates combat boots made in China. I didn't even know that. It'd just be nice if we could make some of our stuff here again. And at least when it comes to our military, I mean, yeah. What's happening, Pillbox? How you doing, man? Fun to learn. What's happening? Christopher Bishop, how you doing? Look, here's the deal, guys. No, I know a lot of you guys are telling me all the guns you like from these companies. Great. I'm just talking about the singular thing that I don't like foreign companies taking over our companies. You know what I mean? That's it. That's it. I've been into guns so long, I probably own guns from any brand you guys could even think of, by the way. So I'm not. So I hope for those of you out in the chat that are sharing the guns you really enjoy and you like, I ain't quarreling with you guys. I'm just telling you what's going on here, and it's kind of concerning. In its most recent earnings report, Ruger reached $5.461 million in net sales during 2025, a 1.9% increase over 24. However, it also reported a nearly $65 million decline in operating income over the last 2 years, from $52 million in 23 to an operating loss of $12 million in 25. Beretta highlighted this, quote, deteriorating financial performance and argued that it compared unfavorably with Smith & Wesson, the only other publicly traded American-owned gun maker. So you can see where this is heading, right? I guess we'll just have to have foreigners take over. That one too. Look, there's only two. I mean, that's it. There's only two publicly traded left, and allegedly, and I have a little more info here I'm going to share with you, Beretta may be in the midst of a hostile takeover with Ruger, and then they're comparing them with Smith & Wesson, meaning is the door open, and now they're going to go after them? Then there won't be any publicly traded American companies. Now there's PSA, which I am a big fan of because they continue still just to deal with regular people like you and me. They don't have military contracts. They're not worried about other governments, but they're not publicly traded, and they're not necessarily as large as places like Ruger and Smith & Wesson. But I do give my hat off to them because that's their business model. They're just here to do business with American people, made in America. Two brothers started it out of a garage, out of literally a garage. One of the two brothers has become a good personal friend of mine that I've been a friend with for years, actually, now. Time flies, doesn't it? Wow. And yeah, man, so I've heard that right from the top, right from the horse's mouth, what their philosophy is. And you know, I don't know the people at Ruger as much, but it sounds like Ruger's wanting to keep this an American company, and they're accusing that Beretta's trying to buy them. Now, I know there's going to be semantics like, Well, it's actually Beretta USA. Yeah, I know. But still, though. You know what I mean? We're to the point now where this country's been walked over so much. I don't want like American-ish. We need to get back to just being America again, okay? Like we need America, like baseball, apple pie. You know what I mean? Just real basic stuff like this. Guns, the Second Amendment, you know? American-owned gun manufacturers. I'm just sitting there kind of pausing. I mean, I can't even believe I talking about this. It's like, are we seeing a day where there might not be any American gun manufacturers to speak of? Like, what? You kidding me? No, I mean, at least not the big ones. We'll see what happens, guys. This is all evolving, but I don't like it. The other, yeah, argue that it compared unfavorably with Smith and Wesson, the only other publicly traded American-owned gun maker. Beretta argued those results underlie the company's push for a strategic minority investment in Ruger. So since they're struggling, they want to buy them up, is what they're saying. What's happening, Gort? Nice to see you, man. Dude, like, I know people in this country all over the place that still make things, that still have skills. Like, see, here's this myth, too, that I'm getting sick and tired of. Well, we have to bring in all these people for tech support, for manufacturing, for IT, for this and that, because these are just high-skilled jobs. Americans just simply aren't smart enough to do it. No, that's BS. That's BS. I'll tell you what, 9 times out of 10, back in the day when I used to call tech support, because I've worked in the tech industry for a long time, actually. And when you could understand the person, okay, I'm just going to call a spade, even more particularly when they happen to be white and you could understand them and all of this, they usually got you taken care of pretty darn quick. Now it's at the part where it's like, thank you for calling such and such, but I get your first last name, and you're like, excuse me, what? But I get your last name, your face ready to what? Shoot it out there to the pressure. You finally get through it 20 minutes later. It's like the battle of attrition. Like, geez, oh, Pete, I have an appointment in 3 hours. Good day, sir. May I please have your case ID number? And you're just like, what? But they keep telling us we need more H-1Bs. We need more than this. Americans just aren't smart enough to do any of these jobs. Dude, when I used to call Dell Computers 25 years ago, thank you for calling the Dell commercial team. This is Jacob. How may I help you? Hey, what's happening, dude? Oh, man, how's it going? What's the problem today? Dude, I've got 3 popped capacitors on the motherboard, blah, blah, blah. I've already got pictures ready. I just need a case ID. Give me 2 seconds, man. You know the drill, blah, blah, blah. Like, people just got it. You could just talk to each other. You could just talk to each other years ago. Now you can't even talk to these people. Their English is terrible. Their accent's almost incomprehensible. And it's not just that. The customs are different. So first we must get into the diagnostics. First we must confirm that the computer is plugged in the wall. And you're like, dude, don't insult my intelligence. And this is when you're literally calling from like, I'm not talking like just a base homeowner level. No, you have a commercial account and you're calling literally like you don't have that phone number unless you have your own internal IT department. You even call those phone numbers now. And then they'll slip up all the time. They're like, good evening to you, sir. And you're like, it's 7 a.m. Where the hell are you at? Oh, sorry, sir. Here in Timbuktu, it is 9:30 p.m. And then you're talking to them, and halfway through the call, and they're like, now we must confirm. And I'm like, just shit me the part I need and shut your mouth. You know what I'm saying? There's just something nice about this. And here's the thing, man. I'm not going to go over to these other countries with my English accent, my American accent, my English language. I don't have an English accent. You know what I meant. My English language, my American accent. I'm not going to go over there and say, "Oh, I should be customer service in Abu Dhabi." No, I'm not going to do that. I would probably make a terrible customer service. Look, people can't understand you. They can't even understand you. It's not good for anyone. So here's the thing. I don't want to go over to any of these other countries and change anything. You're not going to see me over in Germany rotting around. You're not going to see me going over to Italy telling them to act like an American. You're not going to see me in that one little place in the Middle East that you can't even mention on here anymore. Well, you can, but I'm doing an experiment with my analytics. You can if you want your video to be put in a teeny little box. The box they put your video in, it is as teeny as their head covering. That's how small it is. But anyways, I'm not going over there telling them. Boy, Ted Cruz is making me really want to start hating these people. I mean, I don't want to hate. Ted Cruz is making me want. You guys understood what I said earlier. Ted Cruz. No, here's the problem. Foreigners. Dude, this is guns. This is an American thing. Their people can't even buy 90% of their guns. These companies would be all out of business if it wasn't for us. You'd think they'd be a little bit grateful. They're never grateful. They keep wanting more and more and more. Right here, such an investment would allow Ruger to draw on Beretta Holdings' 5 centuries of operational expertise in the global firearms sector to reverse its downward trajectory. The company said, "I don't want globalism with our American-owned firearms. I don't want this new world order. I don't want us to side onto the World Health Organization's views on firearms. I don't want us to be part of the UN Small Arms Ban Treaty." That's the thing. I don't want our guns being with the global firearm sector. Almost the whole rest of the world hates America. Almost the whole rest of the world hates their own people so much that they virtually don't allow them to keep and bear arms at all in most of these countries. How stupid are people? It's like, well, we need to be part of the global. The global? No, thanks. Just leave me the hell alone. And let me be an American in my country. Is that too much to ask? Apparently it is nowadays. No, I'm serious. If any of you are thinking about this, is that too much to ask? To live in a country that says the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, and the rest of the world needs to leave me the hell alone, stay out of my country. And to be perfectly reciprocal and to be fair, I ain't going to go over there and talk to them either. I don't care. You do whatever you're going to do. Just leave me the hell alone and don't buy up all my gun companies in my country. Now, this came out a few days after that. This comes from Business Wire. I'm not going to read every last word of this, but this is, well, let me continue. From Business Wire magazine. Details the current board's fundamental failure of oversight amid sustained share price underperformance, operational deterioration, and significant strategic gaps, underscores board's lack of alignment with shareholders and de minimis ownership stakes despite decades-long tenures. This is the Beretta Holdings letter that they just sent to Ruger shareholders highlighting the urgent need for boardroom change. So they were denying they wanted to be part of the board just a week and a half ago. And now we're just fast forwarding here to March 19th, so yesterday. And now we have, as reported by Business Wire, now Beretta's just sent a letter to Ruger shareholders highlighting the urgent need for boardroom change. This is sounding more like a hostile takeover by the minute, doesn't it? Contends shareholder-driven change is needed to reload Ruger. Now, again, this comes from Luxembourg. This because, again, this is foreign. This isn't the U.S. Beretta Holdings S.A. Beretta Holding, or, quote, we, a family-owned group leading the global premium light firearms, optics, and ammunition industry, and the largest shareholder of Sturm Ruger and Company Inc., Ruger or the company, with a 9.95% ownership of the company's outstanding common stock today, sent a letter to Ruger shareholders detailing the urgent need for board change of the company in order to restore value for all shareholders. The letter highlights 3 key areas that Beretta Holding believes have led to the destruction of substantial shareholder value under the oversight of the Ruger board. 1. Sustained share price underperformance. And there's whole paragraphs. I'm just not going to read all of this because it gets like super stock technical. But 1. Sustained share price underperformance. 2. Rapid operational deterioration. And 3. Significant lack of alignment. And it goes through the specific things where they said that they're lacking in these. But here's the part I wanted to focus on here, because I'm not an economist. I'm not a stock trader. I don't know any of that. It's all foreign language to me. I just know what it means when foreigners are taking over your country. And that's kind of what I'm talking about here. In the latter, Beretta Holding reminds shareholders of the opportunity they will have to elect 4 independent director candidates nominated by Beretta Holding at the upcoming 2026 annual meeting of shareholders. Now, some of you guys are experts, some of you aren't, but does this sound like a takeover? If the Ruger shareholders will have the opportunity to elect 4 independent director candidates nominated by Beretta? I guess by them owning 10% of the company, making them the largest shareholder, they almost have as much power as the other 90%, because maybe the other 90%, like, you guys know what I'm getting at. If 90 people own 1 share, none of the 90 are as powerful as the one guy that owns 10 shares. I think that's a layman's way to explain this. So although Beretta only owns 10%, it's becoming apparent they are the most powerful when it comes to Ruger right now in certain aspects, right? Beretta Holdings nominees possess the relevant skills and experience needed to restore operational performance and strengthen oversight of management, and are committed to representing the interests of all Ruger shareholders. This just reminds me of these people that like short the stocks and all this. It just seems like it might be legal. Technically, it's legal. This whole thing doesn't sit right, though. Like, to try to devalue the company as much as you can. And I'm not saying Beretta's doing this. I'm just saying I see this happen. You sit there and you have this big public argument, and you try to like make the company sound as terrible as possible, then to capitalize on it, whether you're short selling or, in this case, like I read the other article, making deals to buy the stock at a largely discounted rate, saying the company's terrible, it's in trouble, but yeah, we want to buy it. If the company's so bad, then why do you want to buy this? A copy of the letter was sent to shareholders, available for download here. You can go to reload. Well, I'm not even going to save the site because of YouTube, but the letter is available. I'll just leave it at that. About Beretta Holdings SA, with roots dating back to 1526. Okay, we kind of discussed that before. They hold more than 50 subsidiaries and over 20 internationally recognized brands. Okay, certain information concerning the participants. Beretta Holdings SA, parentheses Beretta Holding, intends to file a preliminary proxy statement and accompanying white universal proxy card. That's WHITE, like the acronym, okay? Universal proxy card with the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, to be used to solicit votes for the election of Beretta Holdings' slate of highly qualified director nominees at the 2026 annual meeting of stockholders at Sturm Ruger and Company, Inc. So if someone can help me with this, is that what that means? Like they're literally filing stuff with the United States SEC. They're going to be soliciting votes for the election. It sounds like Beretta is trying to take over Ruger's board, doesn't it? I think I'm kind of reading that in plain English, but I know this is a technical topic. Ace Diamond, channel member, and a super chat. Thanks for chiming in, man. And I wanted to read this real quick before you say goodnight. He says goodnight to Edu and all in the chat. Got to be up at 4:30 a.m. Well, good night, man. Nice to see you. And thank you for the support tonight. I really do appreciate it. Let's chat about brake lines again and move on from stoking the fire. You do that and go do the live stream tonight yourself, man. Go do your own live stream. Let's talk about brake lines and move from stoking the fire. This is important stuff. I'm not stoking any fires. I'm just letting you guys know about it. Did anyone even know about this? Just change the subject. How rude to come in my stream and tell me what I'm supposed to talk about. Can you believe that? You said correct. So, no, I don't have anything against you, man. But look, and people have no problems running their mouth at me. And I'm a person and I'm allowed to talk too. That's all I'm saying. You know what I mean? But I'm probably not allowed to do that, am I? People are only allowed to tell me when they don't like what I'm doing. As of the date hereof, okay, here's their proxies. The participants in the proxy solicitation are anticipated to be Beretta Holding, William F. DeWeiler, Mark DeYoung, Frederick DeSanto, and Michael Christodoulou. As of the date hereof, Beretta Holding directly beneficially owns 1,587,000 shares of common stock, $1 per value per share, and the company, the common stock, as of the date hereof, Messrs. See, they don't even say Misters, they say Messrs. There's just going to be differences here. Detweiler, DeYoung, DeSanto, and Christodoulou do not beneficially own any shares of common stock. As one of the most experienced operators in the global firearms industry, Beretta Holdings' only other interest in connection with its investment in the company at the present is to seek to partner with the company in order to improve performance and deliver sustainable long-term value for all shareholders, employees, and customers. So there you go. Now, think about this for a minute. You've got Colt. Is Colt still in the U.S. or did they go to Canada? You got the Czechoslovak group, which we reported on this channel a few years ago now, taking over the Vista Outdoors ammunition division, brands like Federal, CCI, Spear, and others, right? That's owned by the Czechs. You look at Fiocchi, what a major player they are in the ammo in this country. Just countless other ones that just keep going and going and going. But I'm not just talking about like us importing stuff from another country. That's a bit different. I'm talking like the Czechoslovak group coming over and buying long, like traditionally American companies. Like when you think of Federal Ammunition or Spear or things like this, you don't necessarily think Czech Republic or Czechoslovakia, whatever they call themselves this week. HK, you guys are talking about all kinds of different guns in there. HK, because you suck and we hate you. That's been their thing for like What year, does anyone remember what year they did that photo shoot and they put in the rounds into the magazine backwards? HK's always had a long list of FUD repulsive to the Second Amendment statements for a long, long time. Colt CZ joined the crowd. Glock of Austria blatantly calling for gun control in the United States of America. Meanwhile, probably selling more guns than ever with their, oh, it's Gen 5, it's Gen V, now it's Gen 6. That was sure a big bait and switch, wasn't it? It goes on and it goes on and it goes on. And at the end of the day, these countries are not the same country as America. And they don't have the same values and they don't have a Second Amendment. And if you guys are wondering my opinion, I'm saying this very lovingly. I think the USP, I hope I don't lose a subscriber for this, but I probably actually will somehow. I think the USP is one of the most atrocious garbage guns of all time. If anyone wants my opinion on that gun, I'm just saying, dude, like I've shot them, okay? Just like that and the S2000 or whatever the heck it's called. They remind me a lot of each other. These are atrocious guns to shoot. Like, look, I know a lot of you guys are HK people. I say that. I'm not saying that anything. Oh, trust me, man. People rip on the guns that I like. But I do think the 2004, I had an outside contributor to the channel come in. 2004 is when the HK, because you suck and we hate you, advertisement came out. Does anyone know what I'm talking about? I was pretty close when I said 20 years ago. Oh, HK is a dandy with just like this pompous, arrogant, just like, ugh, against Americans. And for all of you who don't believe me, literally go look it up. Like, this is true. I didn't make any of this up. It's been so long ago now, the young guys might not even know what I'm talking about. I agree. Wolf. Yes, sir. How you doing, man? All gun control is pro-commie. No, I know. I agree. What's happening, Lori? How you doing? No, I'm not trying. What's happening, Garen? I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings at all. I was just saying, like, and I just glanced at the chat out of the corner of my eye. I just kept seeing these HKs popping up in here. I have no idea who likes them or who doesn't. I'm just like seeing it out of the corner of my eye. So I don't know if you're the one that's a fan of it, if someone else isn't. So trust me, none of this is even personal whatsoever against anybody. Like, it's just like whatever. But they literally did do that though, just so people know. What's up, Martin Edgar? How you doing? What's up, N8IWS? How you doing, Dale? Now, I just picked up another LCP Max that I still have to go pick up from the local FFL because I had one, gave it to my wife, and I didn't want her to be without it. Man, I wanted another one. So my most recent of all things, and look, I'm not like a big Ruger fanboy either by any means. I just really like the LCP Max if you're looking for a pocket 380, if that's what you're looking for. Now, that's not always the only gun I carry, but sometimes I do. And sometimes I carry it plus one. There's even rare instances where it may be that plus two, just depending. Depending where I'm going or what mood I'm in. Let's see here. Yeah, Randy Smith. And by the way, make sure you guys check out my Locals community and my X because I'll be streaming over on Locals this weekend. And I do post really good deals on stuff. And Randy may be familiar with some of those postings. And when I say there's good deals on stuff over there, there is. And some of it's like almost too good to be true. Like, I'll be honest, I'm like flat broke right now. But I needed another one for a specific purpose, and I was too broke not to buy it. I know that doesn't make any sense at first, but yeah, I find some pretty good deals, and I just had to take advantage of one of them. You know, Glock's got law enforcement, yes. Again, man, like I said, 3/4 of the guys watching this are really into them too. Like almost everybody but me at this point. No, I'm just against Glock, like philosophically, because they call it for gun control. That's my problem with them. I just have a problem with them as a company, and I think they're terrible people. But a lot of people own their guns way before they pull their bull crap, and hey, do what you got to do. But even more people, man, they don't care. People just don't care. That's all there is to it. They don't care. Foreign company comes in our country, calls for gun control on the state level, and most Second Amendment supporters just don't care. And they're going to justify it in like 100 different ways. It's just the way it is. And I guess, that's why we find ourselves in the shape we're in. Because it's just the way it's going to be, I guess. What's happening, Mike? How you doing, man? No, Mike, you're right. He says we're collectively naive if we still think firearms manufacturers have any interest in preservation or support of the two-way, and history has proven that time and time again. No, absolutely. Dude, Bill Ruger, what he did, that company was completely written off, testifying, before the 94 AWB that 10 rounds is all we need. No, it literally took him passing on and his kids taking over and saying, we don't believe that like our dad did. We're in charge. We're a new company now. Then, me and many others were able to give Ruger a second chance from that. And they've been on my suspicious list for months now. I'm not sure quite what they're going to do with that announcement from their legal, the head of their legal department. I can't even remember her name right now. Some ditzy looking chick last time I checked. But no, they're on my suspicion list because nothing surprises me. But as of right now, Ruger's not gone over into any type of Glock territory, But they might. And if they do, I guess we'll be watching. What's happening, Mike? Nice to see you. Thanks for being a channel member. How you doing, Vince? Nice to see you, man. Love life. I said hi to you earlier because you're from Alabama, aren't you? We had our friend Joe from Alabama in here earlier today hanging out. I gave you guys both a shout out. Akami literally runs Taurus. Yeah, no, that's changed in the last few years, and well, I haven't really bought any of those in a while either. I don't know what that has to cost. It has to do with the price of tea in China. I assume that might be something that you're refuting something I'm saying. I assume that's what that means. I don't know. If you look back behind me, I've got a couple STR9 Stogers right there. They're sitting there. The boxes are anyways. I like a lot of the Stoger handguns. They're part of the Beretta family. And look, it's not even anything personal against Beretta. I tried to make that clear earlier tonight. It's just all these foreigners buying up all of our U.S. companies is just getting old. That's it. Imports, that's a different story. See, here's the thing. I will comment on Taurus, actually. Okay? I don't give a crap if Brazil's a communist country. Why do I care? That's not my country. So there's my quick answer. I don't care if a commie literally runs Taurus. It has nothing to do with me. I don't live over there. There you go. No need to apologize. I hope you never own a Taurus, because if you wanted to, you would by now. It's funny because people kind of think that I just own Tauruses. I'm not sure if Mateo's watching. He hasn't been doing so well lately. Probably why you guys haven't seen him. You might see him in the chat tonight. You might not. Keep him in your prayers, by the way. But, yeah, I think he'll be better soon. I hope he will be. He'll be better soon, I think. But no, I mean, I was like, man, I wish Mateo was in the chat right now. It's like, it's funny how people get pigeonholed and stuff. 2A EDU just owns Tauruses. I'm just looking off here over into this other room. Something like that. No, I don't know. It's this whole weird thing. Like, you'll get online and you'll say, and I don't think anyone's doing nothing like this tonight. I'm just telling you how the internet can be. I'm like, I'm an AK guy. And then immediately it turns into, well, why do you hate the AR? And then I look over at a portion of the AR collection and I'm like, might have more ARs than you there, Johnny, or whatever, you know. Johnny AR guy is like, what? Blah, blah, blah. What do you have against America's rifle? And I'm like, I might have a couple over there. 1 or 2 maybe, or something like that. It's just funny. No, I'm just getting sick and tired of all this. It's just all compounding where we cater to every place in the world, and they're all just trying to use our country up, and we're world's policemen, and we're this, and we're that, and man. That's it. I got nothing against imports. I mean, shoot. I'm one of the only people with the unpopular belief that they should lift the Chinese firearm import bans because, dude, it's like the only thing we can't buy from there. Now, if I could get rid of all China imports, I would tomorrow. But instead, we buy 99% of everything we consume from China, but we just can't buy the guns and ammo. No, that's called gun control. And I've hashed that out and talked about that thoroughly in the past because I'm no fan of the CCP. I'm no fan of any of these. But yeah, man, I own guns from all these different companies. That's the thing. I'm not going to be out shredding them or throwing them away or anything like that. So if anyone out there is like, whoa, why is he ripping on? Relax. I would bet that pretty much like almost any gun manufacturer you would think of, I may or may not have one. I'll just leave it at that. I'm just looking at this list here. I'm like, yeah, I've got some Stoger firearms, sure. Uberti, I've got one of those. Benelli, yeah. I don't have a Holland and Holland. I don't have any kind of Holland and Holland money. No, I mean, there's 2 separate things, and we don't have time because it's been over 2 hours. I'm going to jump off here. But if we wanted to hash out like whether it's good to import firearms or not, that's actually, in my opinion, it might be adjacent, but that's a separate conversation, though, isn't it really? Because all I'm having discussed and disdain over tonight is why are all these foreigners coming in here buying up all of our guns and ammo companies? That's all I'm saying. That's what's getting on my nerve a little bit and making me kind of, and I think rightfully so, have a little bit of concern towards the future. See, like this whole like Sacco and Tika, kind of yes, kind of no. No, I guess the answer is real quick. Yes, I actually do. Yeah, I do own some Finnish Mosins, if you're familiar. Like M39 Mosins, and I know at least a couple of them are made by Sacco or Seiko, however you want to pronounce it, Sako, also Tika. So, yeah, if you want to go back to like, you know, World War II prior, like Winter War type time frame, yeah, I do own Sacco and Tika. This is the only one I really don't know of, and this is because these are French high-end firearms. That was the one earlier. Chapuis Armas. I know that's not, but that's a French manufacturer, right? And they're owned by Beretta. So there you go. There's one I haven't even heard of at all. Ruag Ammo, yeah, I've been aware of them for a long time. I've talked about them. They own Norma Ammo, which again, Norma Ammo, you think U.S.? No. Norma Ammo is owned by Beretta. That's part of the Ruag RWS, Gecko ammo, which Gecko, you know, that's foreign, sure. RWS even, but Norma, some people kind of have looked at that. Now, I'm not saying whether you should or not, but I've heard people refer to that as an American-made company. Now, they may have factories here, but is it an American company? Well, no, it's actually owned by Beretta Holding. So, yeah. So, to me, it's a different conversation, right? I think we all kind of agree. Now, you may have the same conclusion either way. But yeah, imports versus taking over our companies. What news did you miss about Torres? Oh, he's just referring to they've had they have a president takeover or election, you could call it in air quotes. The one that I believe was in prison, and then the Supreme Court, it's all rigged. It's hard for me to keep up on Brazilian politics, but they have a literal communist in charge of in Brazil, and the way Brazil runs things is the government ends up owning or controlling the firearms manufacturers because they're defense contractors. And so it's like, look, the way it was worded by the commenter, that's a real brief way to word it. I knew what he meant, but that's not really, he said, a literal communist runs Taurus. No, it is true, but that's kind of like taking the story and condensing it right down to this. Does that make sense, Mike? Hopefully that sheds some light on there for you. But like everybody in Brazil doesn't think that way either. And it's whether their president's legitimate or not, that's a whole, like, this is a deep conversation, but lots of crazy stuff happened in their last election. If you guys are looking for cool Yugo stuff, like literally original Russian Izhevsk stuff and things like this, make sure you check out recent stuff I've been posting to locals, to X. In my opinion, me being a collector of some of this stuff, there is some good deals and some diamonds in the rough right now that may or may not be around much longer. Just taking one last look at the chat to see if there's any. What's up, Harry Grimley? Nice to see you, man. Lyle Smith, he says Taurus 380 plus 12 rounds, 100 grain, hard cast. Nice. No, I was just flexing on you guys earlier. All I own is like 4 or 5 Taurus firearms. Other than that, that's all I have. Come on. You guys really think I own these European brands? Sometimes I joke with such a straight face, no one knows I'm joking. I just need to settle the score. I own a handful of Tauruses, and that's it. I mean, besides like that new Ruger I told you about. That was like too good to be true. What's happening, Kevin James? Nice to see you. Oh, man, I hope that's not true. At 182 QK FTW. I hope that's not true, man. No, we got to keep an eye on him, though. I said I hope it's true. I didn't say I could guarantee anything, guys. I just hope that's not true, but we will have to see. With the guns, the world's your oyster. Yeah, until all the foreign companies buy up all of them and keep bashing the Second Amendment so hard. Then we'll be sitting there with our old sharp stick in the eye. I thought I saw Fluffy. There he is. What's happening, Fluffy 10mm Jeep guy? Nice to see you, man. I was like, I thought I saw him somewhere. I see you guys' names kind of the corner of my eye during the stream, and when it's basically over like this, I like to say hi to you all, but a lot of you are probably already gone to bed. Yeah, Lyle Smith says, remember, Beretta produced Beretta 92s for the Brazilian Army until 1980. Later, this plant was sold to Taurus. Take the money and run. Yeah, I know there is that whole connection there. And yeah, some of you guys may have a Taurus 92 that you enjoy. I mean, I've got a couple Berettas right over there. I mean, well, not right here. Whoever's watching on YouTube, you got to put your hands up. Hands up! Don't shoot, YouTube. You know that whole thing that was popularized years ago. Hands up! No, not right here. But hypothetically, if I wasn't here, I might have a couple Berettas right here, over there. But I'm more of a millisirp guy. Just remember that when we talk about a lot of these guns, I'm definitely more of a millisirp guy for sure. But yeah, I've got a Beretta 92S over yonder. And you know, on YouTube you can't touch anything like that during a live stream. And then I have a Beretta 1951. Just can you guys understand that translation when I say not anywhere near me, but just a little bit kind of. What do you understand more? There might be a little or a little whoop. I'm just trying to mess around with this algorithm because they've got me in it right now. They've definitely got me in it. Someone just tuned in. Can you imagine? Like, dude, why is this dude speaking in vips and yep? It's called the YouTube algorithm, and the struggle is real. Like, we're all watching this stream, but trust me, Daddy's watching all of us. I can assure you of that. And by the way, to leave on a light note, go look it up. You can't even make this up. This was at the 2004 catalog release at SHOT Show. This is what's considered to be the good old classic HK, because you suck and we hate you. It's a saying. If you've never heard it, you're just a young whippersnapper, and I'm trying to teach you some history, and you can find it. Go look it up. It's your little homework assignment. You'll literally see where they did a full photo shoot. Like, this was back before AI, any of this. This was 2004. They did a full page magazine photo shoot where they bring in the photo company, and they pay many tens of thousands of dollars, I assume. And they brought it in there, and they were advertising their latest piece of junk they were peddling at the time. And they just had so much disdain, just to prove, like, no, we don't even care. We're just going to take this piece of junk and add like 2 zeros to the back of it. In other words, charge you about, because you have to admit, they're a little bit proud of their product. We're going to charge you 4 times what this thing's worth, and then load the magazine with the ammo backwards. And they published it, and they put it out there. And there was nobody in that whole hierarchy of the company that even knew enough about guns to even catch it. So, like, I'm saying this lovingly, very tender for all of the fans. By the way, I've got a pretty nice collection of those over 2, if you know what I mean. Trust me. But I have old, like, milsurp stuff, to be fair. I don't like none of their 40-pound, 3 miles long double action crap. I don't like those guns. But I do have some of old school stuff, military surplus oriented. But yeah, just go look it up if you don't believe me. I promise you it's out there. I promise it's true. And for all the HK fans, love to you. I'm trying to be lighthearted on the way out, okay? No, they are watching, man. Uh-huh. I'm going to come in. You know what I should do? I should brush up on my pig Latin and come in here and speak pig Latin, because I'll leave you guys with this. I know I already said you this twice, but I just thought of something. There's a YouTuber I've been following for probably 15 years. Like, I don't know. He's been around forever. Named Mark Dice. Has anyone heard of him? And not a gun channel, not a Second Amendment channel, although he is a Second Amendment supporter and has made that clear when time to time. But that's just not what he focuses on. But I was watching one of his videos the other day, and he does this from time to time, okay? This isn't the first time. But he was talking about brushing up on some of his pig Latin, because that's a way where you can still kind of speak. And it just reminded me of it. I thought it was kind of clever. So maybe I'll be on here speaking pig Latin. I think I remember a little bit of it. So you guys have to remember, I'm Gen X, and I don't know how long this stuff goes to, so you guys can chime in. But it seemed like it was kind of invented in my era. But maybe it's the generation before me. I don't know. But I can tell you there was a time like in the 80s and 90s where, and then if you guys are younger than me, please chime in. Did it continue? Okay. Is it the lost language of Pig Latin or is it still a thing? I mean, let me know. But it seems to me, man, back in like the 80s and 90s, seemed like it's when it was invented. But that may have just been when I became aware. Now, I'm not too good at it, though. Udge, Eitne. There you go. See? I just remember the old classic, Ukfe Uye. You remember that? Now, I'm keeping it very family friendly because this is that, but we're speaking in Pig Latin now. See, so Rod's an 80s kid. He can comment on, you know what I mean? I don't know how long Pig Latin's been around. It might have been, what's happening, Stephen? It's nice to see you, by the way. He said it's been around longer than you, LOL. So there you go. I was hoping somebody could help me with that. Okay. Dolly Madison's dad used to speak it in the mid-70s. I became aware of it in the 80s. And you know how it is. You guys had to have had this. You're in your little bubble. Especially with me. I grew up in a real small town, you know, school and whatnot. And not a whole lot of different people around. And we used to kind of like, I don't know how stuff would get introduced, but I think we give ourselves credit for inventing things. Like the way I remember the story. And obviously this just isn't true, right? You guys are proving it. But I was under the impression like this one kid in class, I can still remember who he was. He came in after a certain summer vacation and he was teaching all of us Pig Latin. And I think he kind of had us convinced, actually, at a certain point that he made it up. I mean, I didn't know. I really didn't. Now I've learned as I grew up, you know, well, yeah, it's kind of a little bit more universal than that, okay? But there was a time, if you would have asked me when I was, let's just say, I don't know what age, when I was 10 years old or something, I would have been like, oh, yeah, Pig Latin, Charlie made it up this last summer. Like, just the cool kids in this 25-person class we have here. We're the only ones that know it. You guys know what I mean, right? I didn't know. Okay, Pillbox Bunker. We did it in the 50s. Okay, so hold on a minute, guys. Will this actually work, though? Well, should I just give up? I thought maybe, oh, wow. One of my trusted outside channel consultants just chimed in. 1860 to 1870s is when Pig Latin came about. First known record of it. Well, okay. Jays, oh, Pete's. All right, never mind. Never mind. I mean, oh, okay. Well, okay, Mike. No, some of you guys are, wow, you're fluent. I like this. I like this. You guys are fluent. Wow. I'm going to have to sound really smart in the next stream because I'm not as fluent as you guys. I'm just trying to think of a way. When I saw Mark Dice doing it the other day, I'm like, is he onto something? Now, if you guys literally saw if you saw what's happened to my analytics ever since I talked about that small little place, 3-letter word, they just, so I have to learn many different codes. You're going to hear me next week. I'm going to be, I'll be doing that, and I'll have that big old wood duckbill in my lip. You guys know what I'm talking about? You ever see those? They click, and then they put in that big duckbill, and I'll be on here. And you guys will have to learn it. All right. There we go. Clap it out. No, we'll figure out how to do this. Here's the thing, though, Garen. They will throw rocks at me, but they can't because what people don't realize, in front of my computer, I have a thick piece of wire mesh right covering my camera. So all the rocks that come through the camera, they're thick. Like when I say wire mesh, it's more like thick rebar, like sewer grate type material. And it blocks most of the big rocks from coming through the camera. So, but you're right. They will throw them at me. And Lyle Smith says, yeah, TFB has it. HK and the backward bullets, the real story. No, it is true. And with that, I will see you all again soon. Next week here, I have a bunch of videos I have to put out for Michigan stuff, as well as, like I showed you earlier, this early in the week. And hopefully I'll see you guys over on Locals and their sister site that rhymes with Fumble this weekend. All right, guys. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.